Howdy. There has been a rockfall in the Massa Gorge in Valle. No one injured. Region Brick. I have been talking about this region. I have been writing about it. A rockfall has occurred in the Valle Massa Gorge. The cause is still unclear and is being determined. Rock thunders down above the power station in the Massa Gorge in Valle. The essentials in brief. Rock broke loose in the Massa Gorge on Thursday. No one was injured in the rockfall. The emergency service are trying to determine the cause. A rockfall occurred in the Massa Gorge in the Valle municipality of Bitsch on Thursday evening. According to the Canton police, rock broke loose above the power plant shortly before 7 p.m. As far as is known, no one was injured. Emergency services are on site. The cause of the rockfall was initially unknown. Investigations have been initiated to this end. So I went over to Google Earth to figure it out where we are. This is the Massa Gorge. There are these kind of paths there and even this kind of hanging bridge. And I found it. They are now investigating. Is it still safe? That's the bridge in Bitch. So, if we go a bit further out, we can see this lake and the dam Gibidum. And there's someone protecting the water. And here up in the background you can see a glacier as well. And it seems there's also this kind of waterway in here. Sticks out like a sore thumb since it's white. But let's go back to Google Earth, to the real Google Earth. So we have to spin around and maybe change our perspective. Let's just follow this a bit uphill. I haven't done this yet. I was really surprised that I found this bridge they were talking about since it's not big. I don't know if this is water flowing. Yeah, it is. It is a glacier, but I meant liquid water here on the right. This blue, or whatever color you call it, turquoise. A small lake or whatever that is. There might be lakes all over the place there, since the water is quite likely pouring out of the mountains after all, and it just accumulates temporarily in form of glaciers until the temperature moves upwards and it melts, and the glacier melts away and there will stay a lake which doesn't stop to erupt with water, a constantaneous flow of water. Sometimes more, sometimes less. We have to keep this in the eye, the Massa Gorge event, in order to somehow maybe witness some flash flooding or whatever could be related to that thing. I wouldn't be surprised if something like this would happen too. Maybe the water is responsible for the rocks breaking off in the first place. Some call it climate change. Yeah, it is climate change, but the thing is not human induced. Humans have no possibility or whatsoever to change the climate on Earth. Okay, we can make places dirty. We can destroy nature, like building mining operations and dams and these kind of things. Yeah, it's bad for the environment because we are depending on it. If it's dirty, it's dirty. But the climate, the clouds and such, is not in our hands. And this brings me to this other article I was reading today. You can see it's Google Lens once again. Climate change. From German to English. 20 minutes is the paper. I just screenshotted it and Google Lensed it. So don't blame me for the bad English. At least this time. Climate change. The heat waves are definitely a warning from the planet. The extreme heat is just a foretaste of things to come. How is climate change connected to this, and where do we stand now? Is there still reason for optimism? An interview with Peter Hoffmann, meteorologist and expert on extreme weather. Next page. That's what it is about. Not only in Europe, the extreme heat, with all its consequences, is being registered almost everywhere this year. How is climate change connected to this? And where do we stand now? Is there still reason for optimism? An interview with Peter Hoffmann from the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research. I think it's the same place where this Professor Dr. Dahl is working too. I'm not sure. Which still owes me an answer. Actually, I got an answer from the University of Joensuu, University of Eastern Finland today. And I still try to clarify, does this now really mean there is no possibility for me to make a presentation about my paper or not? It seems that no, I won't make a presentation at the University of Eastern Finland about my paper, about what the Finnish lion is. But anyway, let's continue with this. Record heat waves will sweep across Europe and other parts of the world this summer. The worrying thing is that they have gotten hotter faster than most climate models predicted. We have a critical situation that cannot be compared to other crises, says Peter Hoffmann, meteorologist and expert on extreme weather at the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, in an interview. It used to be hot. That's when it was called summer. Hoffmann, what do you say to this expression? Mr. Hoffmann, what do you think of this statement? The fact that it's unusual how quickly we hit the 40-degree mark? That's a new dimension. Sure, the current patterns and weather conditions are the same that triggered heat waves in the past. The difference is, today the weather conditions are hotter and last longer in the worst case. So we will record longer lasting heat waves with new temperature records, no longer just isolated, but also monthly records that are well above the previous records. This development can be assigned with certainty to climate change. This is, without the climate change, not at all explainable. How are climate change and heat waves related? Climate change ultimately determines within which guard rails are. What? Climate change ultimately determines the guardrails within which our weather variability takes place. Due to the shift in our climate, the guardrails of our weather variability are also shifting. There is a higher probability that we will reach temperature ranges that have never occurred before, only rarely, say, that every 500 years. Maybe 400? 500? Yeah. But now they are occurring more frequently. Hot days with temperature in excess of 30 degrees have doubled compared to the 60s or 80s, and by the middle of this century, summers like the ones we are currently experiencing will become the norm. This cannot be explained at all without climate change. What's climate change? He doesn't tell you what's climate change. He just doesn't. He's just explaining it's because of the climate change. But why does it change? It doesn't tell you. He just doesn't. Are the current heat waves a warning from the planet? No, they are from the universe. In any case, today we are observing that the forecasts that were made 30 years ago are coming true. Also, we have forecasts for the future again. They depend on how we ourselves where is it? They depend on how we decide today when it comes to climate protection. You'll soon reach the point where you can't turn back certain things. So far-reaching measures are now required, which also go hand in hand with the loss of prosperity, if we want to steer the future development of the climate on our planet in the right direction. Now it's about not letting this development escalate any further. How optimistic are you? We have a critical situation that cannot be compared to other crises. Decisions and considerations have to be made across generations for a suitable future. This is almost beyond imagination for our society. At the same time, long overdue measures can be implemented more quickly, especially in crisis mode. There is many crises at the moment, people. Long overdue measures can be implemented more quickly, especially in crisis mode. You have noticed. In any case, we will have to live with the changes we see today in the years and decades to come. The important thing now is that we do not allow this development to escalate any further. The later you take certain measures, the more drastic they will have to be. Dependence on Russia for gas makes us jump back into the coal train, and nuclear energy is becoming socially acceptable again. Is this the right approach? We are in a rupture, and this does not go well. We are in a situation of upheaval, and this does not always run in a straight line in one direction. Even if it now seems that we are taking a step backwards, i.e. the coal or nuclear energy are being used more in the short term, the long-term steps forward that focus on renewable energy and the phase-out of coal use prevail. But you need more time. In the form in which we have implemented globalization, it has made significant contribution to the climate problem. In connection with climate change, there is talk of more resilience of society. What does that mean specifically? That our system need a certain level of resilience so that they are not immediately thrown off balance by a shock. For example, with a view to flooding, new houses are no longer built in certain critical valley locations and river courses are left more to the nature again. Or that forest is left to its own devices so that it becomes more adaptable in contrast to monoculture forest. The climate crisis can only be mitigated if the nation states are more aware of their responsibility and act accordingly. Peter Hoffman. From a climate science perspective, was globalization a mistake? Oh man, we have created a problem. Yeah, really, we have created a problem. Also because we operate globally and transport production parts across the globe. So yes, in the form in which we have implemented the globalization, it has made a significant contribution to the climate problem. Especially since the economy is based on one and the same energy source, and the energy source for aircraft and the like, NIFE, is in the fossil age. Ultimately, however, the climate crisis affects us all and can only be mitigated if the majority of nation states become even more aware of their responsibility and act accordingly. Your opinion. So, in my opinion, we have to go over to NASA Space Weather Live. And then we go solar activity. And then we go down and take solar cycle. And then we click on that. Solar cycle progression. These charts on this page resemble the progress of the solar cycle. The charts are updated every month by the SWPC with the latest ICES predictions. Observed values are initially temporary values that are replaced with the final data once it is available. So, sun cycle 25, 24, 23. Predicted sunspot is up here. We are already higher than sun cycle 23. And we are still way 2 or 3 years away from the peak. So I say it again. You just have to throw this line upwards, and somewhere here is our maximum. Or the sun cycle maximum. Maybe it drops down and goes up again, but it will be definitely higher than it has been for 12,000 years. So, this is climate change. Earth is a capacitor in space, and there is so much energy providable. You have no idea. But those meteorologists don't know about those things. But anyway, I'll leave it here. There would be so much more to talk about this, but maybe another time. Thanks. Bye.